In the first lecture, we talked about the impact and importance of good employer and employee relations. Now let's turn to one important area to enhance our employer relations: communication. Often, problems are created by poor communication. Management's failure to engage in meaningful communication and consultation with their employees leads to employee relations issues. Some of those issues impact work productivity or result in employee complaints, or some could go so far as to produce legal action. And, as much as problems can occur when managers are poor communicators, they can also be created when managers fail to listen to what employees are saying. Think about the frustrations that employees face when their managers don't keep them apprised of important issues or how well they're doing or areas that they need to improve on. And there are few things more frustrating to an employee than when managers don't listen to their suggestions, concerns, or complaints. We've all likely worked with a poor communicator in our past and know it can impact our self-perception, our willingness to work, our level of engagement, or our motivation. An inability on management's part to communicate can be quite costly to the organization in terms of productivity and in terms of employee engagement. According to Fortune magazine, the top 200 most admired corporations in America spend a significantly larger share of their communication budgets, more than 50%, on employee relations. And top-performing companies, and those that are noted as being great places to work, are those that ensure communication strategies are developed and information is readily disseminated throughout the organization. It was shown that managers in those companies spent quality time communicating with their employees and developed things like open-door policies so that employees can express themselves and feel that they are being listened to. The importance of good communication and the need for ever-improving communication strategies is often driven by several factors. One is the perception by many in the general populace that job stability is a thing of the past, especially since the economic downturn in the late 2000s. It's important that our communications with employees help them to feel stable and valuable to the organization. Another factor, on the flip side of the first, is that most employees no longer expect cradle-to-grave employment. In other words, they don't think that they'll be with an employer their entire career. So again, it's important that we communicate their effectiveness and especially their value in the organization so they don't instantly move on to another company. These 2 points, especially in situations dealing with organizational change, mergers, and globalization, they increase the need for good internal communication. Employees need to know how these items may impact them and how it will impact the organization. Milton Moskowitz, co-author of the 100 Best Companies to Work For in America, lists several important criteria present in the most successful companies in regards to communication. One is a willingness to accept dissent. Employees want to and need to be able to provide their feedback to management, their opinions, and even their dissent on items with which they disagree. Also, there needs to be visibility and proximity to upper management. Modern, employee-centric companies try to level rank distinctions. They work to eliminate status reminders, like executive cafeterias, or the executive parking space, or a closed-off wing of executive offices. That kind of hierarchical separation develops an us and them kind of working environment, and it's quickly becoming an outdated paradigm. Employees want to be heard by management. As much as we need to listen to external customers, our employees have valuable input on what works and what needs modification. We need to spend as much time understanding and soliciting internal communication as we do external communication. Additionally, employee-centric companies create their communications to be, what else, employee-centric. For example, they will ensure that their benefits booklet is written with clarity, to be readable for a general audience rather than just to the human resource specialist. For memos and emails and other internal documents, They ensure that their audience, their own employees, is kept in mind in the production. Some of the best companies go out of their way to have a friendly tone, and in doing so they build a sense of community or even family. The task for management is to communicate with employees in a truthful, frank, and direct manner. This is the overriding challenge that confronts today's internal communicators. What internal communications comes down to is credibility. Being candid and winning trust must be the primary employee communications objectives in the new organization or in any organization. It's always a great idea to regularly survey employees' attitudes. Internal communication audits and attitude surveys can identify problems before they become a crisis. This is something that should be carried out by the employee relations function. HR can also help management be aware of and maintain their communication strategies. Management that promises open and honest communications has to practice it. An open door must remain open, not just partly open part of the time. And while we need to counsel and train managers on good communication skills, we in HR also need to ensure that we communicate effectively with the workforce. Employees should be aware of all facets under HR's purview, including internal job openings, company functions, community initiatives such as volunteer opportunities, employment practices, promotion processes, performance management steps, professional development activities, tuition reimbursement programs, and so on. HR should take great care that all employees are apprised of these and other company communications. The employee relations function of HR should develop policies that speak to all of these communications goals. Lastly, HR should spend some time considering policies for what is expected and what should be done if an employee comes to HR with concerns or complaints. And in drafting these, managers and employees should all be made aware so that the organization works smoothly and effectively. HR must do its share to build a communications culture within an organization, and this is a vital part of employee relations.